want to begin our prayer time tonight by recognizing the passing of some dear members of our community that you used powerfully, Father, to benefit Granby and the surrounding area. People like Annabelle Franks, Pastor Thomas Cassidy, Craig Hopper, and Stephen White. To these families, Father, would you bring comfort and all the other families who recently lost loved ones. Father, we do have a sure hope in Jesus Christ of eternal life in that holy name through his blood. So we as a community call upon the name of Jesus. Lord Jesus, please protect and save our mayor and city officials, our police officers, our city workers, our school teachers and students, administration and staff of each school district, our civic clubs and our organization, Lord, businessmen in our community and our citizens. Would you work through the churches and the pastors of Granby that we might have a safe and productive community in which to raise our children and grandchildren? And would you bless this very meeting tonight with wisdom and accomplishments that again will benefit your kingdom and our good community in the name of Jesus Christ and for his glory's sake.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to get this meeting started at 6:02. Roll call, please.
Dorian Klaus.
Here.
Dustin Elder.
Here.
Jamie Conway.
Here.
Christy McGehee. Bobby White.
Here. Okay, approval of the agenda as presented. I would entertain a motion on that.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the agenda by Bobby. Dustin has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. I believe there needs to be an adjustment to the minutes.
I have already pushed that error.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second.
Okay, Doreen has made the motion to approve the minutes from August 24th. Bobby has seconded that. All those in favor? 4-0, or 3-0, sorry. Missing my Christy tonight. Okay, guest speakers. Charles? Do we have Charles here? No. Okay. Mary Duvall? Is there a Mary Duvall here? Nope. How about Amber? Is that you, Amber? How do you pronounce your last name, dear? Levy. Amber, would you mind to come up to our podium? And then if that red light's not on, would you mind to push the button to turn it on so people can hear you? Thank you, dear. Okay. I'll give the council a minute to get to their notes. I had to go through a few here. Amber is representing, let's see, Hickory Hollow, is that right? Can you tell us a little bit about your food truck? Is food truck, right?
It's a food trailer, yes.
Okay.
We just started it in July. We just moved down here from Nebraska. This is our hometown Neosho. So we live in Neosho. We are just establishing it, and we're trying to get a route going. So we have a license in Neosho, recently Seneca, and we're trying to get the area towns, a license in area towns where we can set up once a week and sell barbecue to the community.
Okay. Do you have a specific location you were shooting for?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Council, questions?
Sorry, this might not be for you either. What kind of health mandates do we have on food trailers and stuff? I mean, do we have to have some kind of certifications or anything like that?
They have to have their state license, their state certification.
And you guys do?
Yes. Yeah, and then is this Newton County, Grant? Yes. And we are inspected through Newton County already, have our inspection.
Okay. Good question.
So you'll just go to a business and try and schedule this yourself?
Yes.
Do you have any idea of who or where you might go?
Not yet. Do you guys have any suggestions?
I don't know, there's already several that are coming through town, so, Jim, do you have any ideas?
You talked to Kelsey about her place, the tire shop.
Oh, yeah,
And then, Matt's let Tim and, the burger trucker set up at his place.
okay. And Ramey's used to let people every once in a while, so there are several options. Well, a few options,
Yeah.
but,
We set up at King Saver in Neosho. They allow us to set there a few times a week, but this will be just like once a week event.
okay.
Where he's mentioning, Matt owns the liquor store, Downtown Liquor and More, off of 60 Highway, and Kelsey works there, right? So those are two people you could talk to also.
Okay.
And then Kelsey's is right there across the street, the
Yeah.
tire,
Yeah.
just behind the weeding place.
Right there on the highway.
On 60, yeah.
Okay.
It'd be kind of across from the telephone company.
I'm not just terrible familiar with Granby yet.
That's okay. If you go down to Downtown Liquor and More, Kelsey works there.
Uh-huh.
She could show you exactly if she's interested in it, and Matt, you could talk to Matt. Either one of them
Okay.
would be helpful to you.
Okay.
We just don't want to double up and have 2 or 3 at the same day, that way, you'll get business and,
Right. You said you have a burger place that comes through, like a burger truck?
Yeah,
Mo,
good AF burger.
Good AF Burgers, yeah. Then the wing place comes through too sometimes.
I haven't seen them lately.
Haven't seen them?
Yeah.
They're pretty much staying around the Neosho right now.
And then Redneck Barbecue, which is Bo.
If you're planning on a weekly route, just a specific day would be great.
Right.
Because people would know that you were going to be there that day.
Right, yes.
Consistent.
That's what we were thinking would be the best option.
Like I said, Kelsey and Matt's got the flea market property too. On the highway.
And Simple Simons.
You guys said that there was one barbecue food trailer that comes through already?
Sets from the area, local.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But it's not how
Bowman.
often, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
kind of hit and miss.
It's hit and miss.
Sure.
So, and I'm sure if you pick a date that's not going to coincide with his, he will definitely work with you.
Yeah, that's what, we don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Sure.
Um,
And like, he sets up at Matt's, so if you're visiting with Matt and Kelsey, they would be able to tell you,
Okay.
Yeah.
He's usually up, just on a Saturday too.
yeah.
And there's not, I mean,
And he's probably been.
WH,
four
I don't
times
think
a
they
year.
sell barbecue like you're talking. I mean, there's not another actual restaurant in town that
Right,
does barbecue
Yeah.
on a daily basis, so.
okay,
Yeah, I think, you'll find we're very welcoming,
okay, good.
so. Okay, council, any other questions?
No, I don't.
Nope. I'd entertain.
I make a motion to approve the business license for the barbecue trailer for Amber Levy.
Libby?
I'll second that.
Okay, Dustin has made the motion to grant a business license to Hickory Holler, and Doreen has seconded that. All those in favor? Okay, 3-0. Welcome to Granby.
All right, thank you.
They'll have your business license ready for you Monday of next week. Yeah, so you can stop by Monday and get that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving back to, or on to old business, number 1, discussion items to review for an auction. So we should have 3 sheets here, I believe. Is this Ford Taurus yours, Chief? Yeah? That's that black car, isn't it? Mm.
I still say we should use it as a fundraiser and beat the tar out of it. Well, I didn't say that, but if he's game.
We have 4 of them, don't we?
There's
Yeah.
some,
Should
there's
be
some in
a-
the main packet, and then there's a couple
Yeah,
of extras.
2 more, utility
Chief?
department.
Yeah.
Do you still have the aluminum
Recycle.
dog cage down there? There was a. Yeah, that dog box? Yeah, it's over here in the corner of the bank. Okay. That was something that was just mentioned in past when we were talking about it. I just wanted to-
That's something else we could possibly go, so we don't.
The dog box. I thought somebody was gonna buy that not too long ago.
Catherine decided she wanted to hang on to it, didn't she, in case she needed it?
I don't recall. For some reason, I thought they had lined it up to where somebody was gonna purchase that.
I just think at one of the meetings when Rico was still here, that he asked permission to sell it.
Yeah.
For sale.
That sounds right, yeah.
I'm
I
talking.
can verify with Catherine, I'm sure we don't need it, because we don't have a vehicle, we can put it in.
I was thinking she said she doesn't use
Yeah,
them.
there was
so
no room
is what
for it.
I was thinking.
Is that what the dog catcher uses?
She's the dog whisperer. She doesn't need a box. So when are we thinking we need to have this auction? Has anybody talked to anybody about setting it up? What's the, yes, ma'am?
I would encourage the council to consider springtime, that would give us an opportunity to go through, the empty building at North Main. That way we get our shelving and everything out of there, we may have some shelving units that can go.
Okay. You guys want to kind of nail down a closer date, like say we're going for spring, March, April, so we can at least get it on the books? We've been talking about this too many times.
Let's get it on the books,
Yeah,
a date.
can I? I'll make a motion that we table this until February.
Do you want to table it, or do you want to go ahead and put a date out there to where we can go ahead and get it on the books? to
Well,
where we know?
February, we can re-talk about it, and they might have more items to add.
Yep, February, you might have a hard time getting an auctioneer for the spring.
Yeah, if you set a date, then you can table it to put it back on your agenda in February to make sure all your ducks are in a row. But if you start putting things on a calendar, it's more likely to happen.
Okay.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, like I said, I'd just be afraid about getting an auctioneer.
Okay, make a motion that we try to have an auction on March 15th of 2025 pending securing an auctioneer.
Second.
Doreen has made the motion to put an auction on the books for March 15th, 2025, depending upon securing an auctioneer. Dustin has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. And these are the items we know that's going to be in it so far, and if you come up with more, please add to our list.
Is that going to give you enough time, you think, March?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Okay, number 2, ordinance 933. I think there was a bit of confusion. The reason this is on here as old business is, number 1, we voted to put it back on. I emailed out the results of the surveys that we put out. We only had 41 people answer it, but from what I seen, it was pretty negative. One of the major things stated that citizens felt like that cost was too high. The 500. What are your thoughts on the proposed amount of $500 every 6 months? Is it too high, too low, or just right? 26% said just right, 9% said too low, 14.6% said they're unsure about it, and 48.8% said it's too high. Do you think the proposed fee is fair to property owners? 46.3% says no, 12% are unsure, and 41.5% says yes. That was a close. What's really interesting is overall, it's very negative until you get to the local real estate market and property values. It says, how do you think this fee would affect the local real estate market and property values? 34% says it would have a positive effect. 24% says they're unsure. 22% thinks there would be no effect at all, and 19% says it would be negative. So, but that's just some of those overall. Council received an email this week on this. They have the ability to go into the survey and look at it. I know that's only 41 people out of our population, but I'm sure you've heard different things from different people. So I thought maybe we could just have a discussion tonight about it as opposed to a vote. Is that okay with the council? Okay. So council, thoughts?
with having just the 41 responses, it makes it really hard to decide. 82.9% of them were property owners. They do own property in the city. 43.9 says there's a negative impact. But 24.4 said it would be positive. So it kind of, my thoughts are we're steering more towards the negative because it's something that has gotten people to thinking about what's going on. And you're gonna have more people reply to something like this that maybe it would affect more than it would the others along the lines of paying a fine or paying the $500.
The flip side of that is, when you have your property and you keep it up and the houses across the street or down the street beside you, it just lowers our property value. So we've got to figure out a way, and if going and telling them, if you need help, let us know, we'll try and help you, or fix up your stuff, but if they're not going to do anything, we have to draw a line in the sand and say, one way or the other, this needs to be fixed.
How many people came in and applied for help when the gentleman came in?
It's an interesting question. I had lots of people ask for applications. I would say, how many people do you think we had here that day? There's probably a good 10, 15 people, something like that. But of those people, a few of them didn't qualify at all. I would say there's at least 4 people right now that are getting help through Habitat for Humanity on their homes here in our town. But I think it was because we really pushed it. Like, I was putting it out there, and honestly, the citizens some of them brought stuff to me to scan in. These girls, I've been asking them over and over, will you scan this and email it, scan this and email it, because they're doing it through us, doing it directly for them. So I think if there was more programs out there, more people would be able to take advantage of it. I will tell you that there were several caveats that kept some people out. Number one, they didn't help with trailers or modular homes. If you didn't own your home, like let's say you're an elderly person in a home and someone else actually owns it, they don't qualify. You have to live there for at least a year. And then one thing that really scared a lot of people off was the fact that they needed insurance. And it seems like a vicious cycle, and I thought, how can this be? Well, when he came and explained it, they like for you to have insurance. If you don't have insurance because you can't get it, not because you can't afford it, because you just can't get it on your home, you can go to an insurance agency and they'll say, hey, we won't insure this. They just write a declaration page stating that. Then they sign a note saying they're going to get insurance in the end. And that's how that works.
After the repairs are made?
After the repairs are made, yeah. It did stop several from applying. And I tried to make sure I went to those people. I went to several homes, too, of people that needed, it looked like they could use some assistance, but absolutely refused assistance. So I will tell you that. I took them and I handed them out like candy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree. I think we need something, and we haven't talked about the illegal activity, angle on this either. But that's part of the reason that we talked about it in the first place. So
Right, we have residences that are empty, so they feel free to take advantage of that spot.
Yeah.
And so that would hopefully deter homeless people just coming into an abandoned home. What?
I'm so sorry.
What happened?
A homeless person may have accidentally got locked into a building.
I know. And that's a good case in point.
It is a
Somebody
good
went
case.
into a,
Okay.
Someone went into one of our buildings, and I am the person that locks it up at night. And I took a moment to not check to see if someone was in there. So there was a person who spent the night in one of our facilities.
But they were a very polite person.
Yes.
They did not.
They did not damage anything. So it is my mistake. I was in a hurry, and it was late at night when I had to lock it back. The dude did have the ability to unlock and get out, so he was not trapped, but he was okay with the situation. He enjoyed his evening. It's the new joke around here.
We still haven't agreed to do that boundary.
Those poor guys.
I guess what I'm saying is maybe we need, some of the comments in the survey were pretty, they were pretty good. There were some of the comments about maybe having some, some sort of an appeal, or I think maybe if we write it in such a way that we make it clear that every situation is its own individual situation and will be taken, where we talk to the homeowners, and if it's an elderly person who doesn't, who's on a fixed income and doesn't have the capability to fix it up, that we're going to make.
Yeah, and I do think this actually does give us that freedom. It says the Board of Aldermen or their designee are hereby authorized to establish procedures for payment, registration fees, penalties, delinquent fees. The owner, I'm pretty sure there was something in here that basically stated that we could forgive them, or where was that at? Oh, right. Was that removed from this one? Is this different than the first one we got?
It is on the very back page.
Okay, am I missing it? Okay, I'm missing it.
But that is, it says upon bona fide sale of the property to an unrelated party.
Yeah, that's not it.
You can't just pass it over to one more person that's related to you and expect that to give you another 6 months grace period. But this whole vacancy fee needs to still be discussed. I don't believe it should be just dropped. So I would suggest we table this until we can get some more, hopefully, citizens' input and a little more direct wording on this. I'd also like to say the commercial property should be its own bill as well, or not with the residents, because commercial property, we don't have a bunch of businesses coming into town, but we shouldn't punish the commercial property that's in good condition just because they can't get a business in that building.
I did have one person call me up, and we had a big, long conversation, and her statement was, the house is empty and has been empty for 20 years. And I said, why is that? She said, because I bought it and I don't want anybody living in it. And I said, how come? She says, because I don't want neighbors. And I said, what if everybody in Granby bought a house and decided they didn't want neighbors? Then your population gets cut in half. And so she's like, well, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I just don't want neighbors. So that was one of the.
But are they keeping the house up? Is it livable?
No, it's a storage container, basically. They use it as a storage container. They do keep the lawn mowed, though. It's just over time. I mean, they're not replacing windows or roofs or anything like that, but.
Which goes back to unsafe housing.
It's not unsafe, though. See, there's a difference. We have ordinances against the dangerous buildings. We do, and we have been working very hard on that. If you'll notice, even one of them down where we had some of the issues with some drug deals going on, they're tearing it down. I mean, they're taking it down piece by piece. So unfortunately, we don't have the ability to come and say, we'll help you tear this down. There's just too much liability in that, and we just don't have the funds to do that. But a lot of the owners that I've talked to so far, they are trying to step up and do stuff. There's been at least, 6 houses that's been tore down in the last year? Am I?
Probably right at it.
Yeah, at least 6 and like 9 trailers, so.
I guess you know the South Bank.
So, yeah, that's the one he's working on, and that was one of them we had problems. You know, the bushes are real high there, and people are just making their little drops. So, and they're about to not have a little place to drop them at anymore. So they are working on the dangerous ones. Mm-hmm. It's the concern was how do they get there, and what do we do in the journey between? Is there a way that we can slow some of that down and they're not all moving to dilapidated was, I think, the idea.
What does have going on in this case? Are you talking anybody else?
Well, this vacancy fee came from, like, I want to say it's like the outer St. Louis area because they were having a hard time with people just boarding places up. So this came from a city and the municipal judges that were talking about it. Cities around us, they just deal with them after they become dilapidated. I honestly think you guys should revisit that. I don't think your mayor should be doing dilapidated houses. I think you should hire that, like have somebody come in that is a building inspector that can do those a little more efficient for you, because it's not fun. It's not a fun job. It's very taxing. It's very difficult. You're standing here with somebody that says this is all I have, and I'm like, it's still dangerous, you know, and so it's hard for an elected official, especially to know the laws, and it's taken me, 6 months to study up enough to make sure that I don't mess it up for the city. So,
My personal feelings are, just because a building is sitting empty and someone is using it for storage, as long as that building is well taken care of, they're keeping it up, I don't feel like we have the right to tell them that they have to have utilities to that. I feel like if there is something wrong with the building, something wrong with the premises, we need a building inspector is what we need. We need someone that can go in and say, hey, this is not up to code, our ordinance state this is what you need to do. If you start trying to slap somebody with a $500 fee just because they don't have utilities, the legal liabilities, I'm afraid, is gonna eat us up. It's something that really needs to be considered. And I agree with Jamie, it shouldn't be on a mayor to do that. Can we check into maybe sharing a building code?
I think we talked about that, right, Lana? Have you guys spoken to somebody before about Monette? What was the...
They have all of their codes online, but then they contract with the inspectors.
So they have somebody that just comes in and does it, and so that might be something you look at, putting into the budget in the future. And yes, ma'am.
I'll say this, their building inspector also inspects new builds, and part of their fee for the city is covering that. So it's not a cost to the city.
And that would be smart to do, for sure.
So your vacancy fee, same thing, if you have a building inspector going and inspecting those homes, because there is an obligation to the city for oversight on those buildings, it's an additional expense to the city, so the vacancy fee would help cover that as well.
Do we have any kind of idea what they would charge to do inspections?
$250 on a new build, and on a vacancy as well.
And part of that $250 would come back from charges to the
The
builder?
the contractor, in this case, in vacancy, we would charge them a fee for vacant homes.
That could cover those.
Is there any way you could contact Monette again? And I mean, we can ask the questions of the person, but can you get the point of contact information for who they use?
We just have to have somebody contracted? Is that the deal?
Contract labor, that way there's a benefit to them.
Yes, sir.
If you're gonna do the hiring of a building inspector, they're gonna have a building code to go by to do the new houses, wouldn't they?
Yes, if it's new houses, yes.
We don't have a
If you
building
had,
code.
if you had somebody come in and we have ordinances to address the dangerous buildings. So if you had somebody that came in and did your dangerous buildings, they would be able to go by our ordinances. But yes, the building codes, you'd need that.
But it would have to be based on when the home was built, right?
The codes,
The codes. So if a house was built in 1910, it's gonna be under different codes than a house was built in 2000.
yes, they would be grandfathered in certain things, yes. But if you're talking new builds, right? like a new build?
Well, if you're gonna hire a building inspector to come in and condemn a place, what basis are you gonna condemn it on?
We have ordinances that specifically state what basis condemn a place.
So he's going strictly by that.
That's what you would use. I mean, I'm assuming that's what the mayor uses. What I do is I go into our dangerous building codes and I look at it, and if they're violating one of those codes, that's when I go in and I send them a letter and I give them the option to fix those things. And I have seen that a lot of people really think that everything needs to be done like this. It doesn't always work that way. You can send out a letter and give them so many days to work on it, but if they come back to you and they say, you know, reasonable amount of time would be this long because I have to do this, this, and this, then I say, okay, show me progress. And then it continues on. We have hearings that are kind of carried out that way. But as far as a building inspector being able to condemn it, you wouldn't have to go back to, you know, codes way back. You would say, hey, this giant gaping hole in the roof is not, I mean, it's just not acceptable. It has to be fixed.
For condemning.
For condemning, yeah.
Not for vacancy.
Right, if you were to do vacancy, that's when it gets really pretty sticky on that. Because vacancy is, it's not a new build and it's not condemnable, so you're gonna have to be very specific about what you do allow or do not allow within those homes. And yeah, you would have to have codes definitely, or some very stringent ordinances, I believe.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
we also found out at the meeting in the earlier this week that Curious German Council will assist the city with building codes that are specific to those as planned for the office.
I think that is
That
an
was that,
excellent deal.
yes.
What's your thoughts on that, council?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Did they give you a price list or give you an
We pay
idea?
them every year. We get something out of them.
You're right. We already pay them.
Yeah, I mean, we pay them every year, so we ought to be able
Let's
to
utilize
Yeah,
that.
get some information out of them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you could talk to, is it Amanda? Is she the one that? Okay, yeah, if you could talk to Amanda, or Carrie, or, yeah, and maybe invite them to an upcoming meeting, and that way she can kind of help us. I think it is really important for this town to have those building codes, and I think you guys really need that zoning put in place. I think that's very important. So at least residentially zoned. So, did they mention anything like that, that they could help with the zoning part? Because I think that's where we run into a roadblock. We get so much information from these big towns, like I have a 100-page thing from Joplin that says, this is what we do. It's just too much. And I am not a zoning expert, by no means. Okay, yeah, if you could invite her to our next meeting and maybe have her come, or, you know, a month from now, if that's what's better for her, to make sure that she can be prepared. That's where we need to go with that, I think. Okay.
So I would make a motion that we table the discussion on the vacancy ordinance until we gather more information and we're able to flesh that out a bit.
Can we,
You
like,
need a
January?
Pop
Do
it
you
back
want to put
up
it on
there.
it?
January? I mean, we've got to have time to go through all this,
First meeting in January.
so we'll talk about it in January.
Okay, table it till the first meeting in January.
Okay, Dustin has made the motion to table this ordinance 933 to the first meeting in January. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Doreen has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. We will table that. Okay, just to give you guys a little bit of background before they read ordinance 938. In September of 2023, our guys hit a MediaCom line and broke it. We fought tooth and nail not to have to pay this settlement for what we deemed as a marking mistake. We deemed that their people did not mark it correctly. We have pictures. Back and forth. We have been advised to settle. We settled for a quarter of what they were asking for. And so basically what we have here is an ordinance just authorizing me to sign the settlement agreement with MediaCom. Are there any questions before she reads it, guys?
Nope.
Okay.
Council Bill 938, an ordinance of the City of Granby, Missouri, approving settlement of a claim between the City of Granby and Project Resources Group, PRG, related to claim damages to a MediaCom line, authorizing payment of the claim, and authorizing the mayor to sign any settlement agreement on behalf of the city.
And it has been posted, right, 10 days?
I move to accept bill number 938 on the first reading by number and title only after having posted publicly for 10 days.
I'll second.
Okay, Doreen has made the motion, and Bobby has seconded that. Roll call, please.
Doreen Klaus?
Yes.
Dustin Elder?
Yes.
Bobby White?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Can we ask what that's costing the city?
Yes, it's $2,500. They came at us with 10,000 and said that we had to pay them 10,000. We had pictures. I actually went out there, what was it, like the day of or the day after? Took pictures of everything, all of the markings, went back and forth with the guy that, is his name Ernie? It's Ernie, isn't it?
With MediaCom.
Yeah, MediaCom. Went back and forth with MediaCom, argued with them about the marks, talked with the PRG lady over and over again, extensively. And they actually had a picture where it was marked, where we dug. However, it was an active water leak, which said we wanted flags. So we feel like it was marked improperly, that it should have been flagged and not spray painted. And we went back and forth, but ultimately we did break their line, and it was marked at one point in time. So they did go ahead and back down to the quarter settlement. Yeah. That lady tried to tell us the paint floats. I'm like, lady, I about went off on her.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, I mean, this isn't the first time that we've all saw this. We've been talking about it extensively because it's legal. It's been in closed session, but it's all been with the lawyers and stuff. And so,
And it would cost us more to fight it than it would be to pay the
Exactly.
$2,500 in legal fees.
So, but great news is we have a vac truck, and our vac truck exposes those lines now. So our vac truck saves us money in the long run. Right, guys? Yay. Okay. Yes. Okay, so we've covered that. Number 4, discussion on cemetery expenses.
Mayor, I spoke with Kristen earlier. The number that I have written on there is correct. I thought that I had misinformation on the bottom of my room. That is correct. It does not include weed. It does not include weed. It's just strictly
Just
mowing.
mowing.
So how many hours does it take?
To mow.
Is it
we
40
need- I
or
mean,
is it 20?
Two guys, 10 hours a day, 10-hour day.
So 20 man hours.
Yeah.
So it is 20, okay.
That's to mow. Well, what about the weed eating?
Probably another 20,
So the 40 is right.
40 total.
Is that including both cemeteries? Because I've been asked a lot about that second cemetery.
That was just the new, but I guess the other one got done at the same time, but not really in those hours.
Did our guys do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the estimation total is every time it, not weekly, but every time it got mowed, 40 man hours, $640.
I averaged that on $16 an hour. We have some, I think, less than some things.
Were they going out there weekly?
We try to do it every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So basically $1,280 a month.
You know, with the range, you might be out there weekly, it's just hard to, and there's times that it doesn't need weeds every time you mow it, and there's times that it does. That's just,
So, quick question, the 1950 on the contract labor that's under this year's column, is that for burials? What's that? Yeah, okay.
Yes, so the burial in terms of
What did you find out about that situation today, about the Monday?
I spoke with, the funeral home and I spoke with Mr. Gwynn, and it was Stenera on their part, on the funeral home. They knew that we got an additional $100 regardless. They just don't send it. She said that they were aware of the fact.
Okay. Why is there a huge difference in the income on that? I mean, just not as many, okay. That
And
seems,
that was a year-long total income in that right column.
we don't have any real estate taxes on that one too.
Right, so in December, that number will jump up significantly
Okay.
on that right column. It's just the wrong time of year to have income on real estate taxes.
Gotcha.
So if we look at every 2 weeks, 6 months, $1,280 a month, we're looking at $7,248 for a 6-month period of time. And it's showing, where is it showing at? What we bring in on the tax for the cemetery.
Top right hand.
Top right hand.
Very top line on the right hand side.
That real, oh, the burial interment, is that what you're talking about?
Are you talking about income?
Real estate
I'm
tax.
talking real estate taxes.
Right.
That's, okay, and that is on, this is on the cemetery.
Yeah, this is last year.
Okay,
Correct.
so wouldn't it benefit us to hire someone to come in rather than, and this is nothing against anyone, but we have so much time going into mowing and maintaining the cemeteries, they're not able to mow and maintain our streets. I mean, we have several places where in the past they've been able to go down and take the big weed whacker or whatever it is and clean out along the roads, and they're looking pretty rough. I know down in our area they are. They haven't had time to do it, I'm sure, with the water leaks and the mowing, and I just think it's too,
Short-staffed.
I think it's, yeah, just too much for us to be able to handle, for our guys to be able to handle. We're just asking an awful lot.
What happens to the, or like, the $8,341? Does that stay with the city and it's metered out as needed, or?
So any expenses that come to the cemetery, we expend as much as those monies will go.
Okay,
And
so
the
the,
general fund takes up any shortage.
I thought we were contracted for like, wasn't it 14,000 for the last? Was it 18?
think it's
Then why
18.
is it only showing 7.7 on contract labor?
was that,
Is it,
Was
was
it
it?
last year?
Split it a year, just the split of a year, and we ended the contract early. But where the fiscal year falls as opposed to the calendar year and all that, stuff like that.
Was it because the person the year before was a lot cheaper then? Because you're, this is an entire year, it's June to June, so.
I do think it was that.
Yeah, I think you're four, but maybe the 12.
Mr. Linstead, Mr. Linstead? It's out there. Okay,
so the 1280 per month then is something, I mean, it's resources and it's manpower and it's hourly pay for the city on top of the $8,341, right? I mean, it's not, it doesn't offset, is what I'm saying.
No, and this has consistently been the case, and I realize I'm the bad guy who keeps bringing it up. I realize that I am, but the general fund cannot pay for this. It's just, we can't. And we pay for the liability insurance, we were paying for this one, we're paying for the mowing. We just can't continue on this path, and so I don't
speak?
Yep,
Yeah, please.
Please do.
Please do, yeah, help us out.
Well, we've got,
Can you come to the microphone, please?
yes, we have the trust money that took 60 years to build it to where it is. 60 years. And when it's gone, it's gone. It's not like it keeps building itself. Yeah, we're gaining a little interest, but we've got 100,000 in principal money that we cannot touch. That's investment money. We've got, I've got it on here somewhere. We've got 2 CDs at First Internet Bank at 46,000, and then one at 49,000, and then we've got another account that's got 16,000, and those are all our principal accounts. Those cannot be, those are investment accounts. We can't take that money out.
We only get the interest.
We can use the interest off of those, that's it.
What was the interest for the year,
Which year?
last year?
Last year was $4,469. We have $37.16 in deposits. I have it listed there for 23. So the total for the year was $8,185.
That's the amount of money you brought back in from interest.
No, we only brought about $4,500 in interest. The other was deposits for,
Internments and stuff.
yeah, in plots.
And we can only use half of that money because according to the trust, half has to go to the principal. And the last 5 years, sale of graves, 2020, we sold 9. 2021, we sold 19, COVID. 2022, we sold 7. 23, we sold 21. And in 24, we have not sold 1 grave this year. So there's that. And then the donations, Memorial
not a bad
Weekend.
You what?
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Memorial Weekend, we average about $900 in donations. So we can use half of that, $450, because the other half has to go to the principal of the trust.
So how can we work this out? If we're getting the money in for the taxes, right, it's showing here $8,300. And that has to be, the city has to dole that out. We can't, you know, you guys aren't allowed to touch it, just like we're not allowed to
Right.
touch that. How can we split this up to where we take that money for the real estate taxes that are for the cemetery and use that first for the mowing, and then you guys pick up the rest?
Well, how has the mowing been done all these years before this money ever was in
We've been going in the
existence?
hole with the general
We've been
fund.
going in the whole general fund.
Cheaper to mow, and the city was getting the money from donations and plots, and we don't now.
And it should have been half of it going into the trust, but we didn't know the rules then.
But it looks like honestly, the interest from the CD would pay the shortfall. And
But that would give us nothing. We
But-
literally.
Except for $200,000 in a trust.
That's a principal, we can't touch it.
What do you,
can't touch that.
what do you do with the money that you get from interest? I know you said you put half in, but what do you do with the other half?
The interest, when it comes every month, it goes into our checking account.
Uh-huh.
It's usually, now that we're getting good interest, it's $130 is probably the average. Used to be $3 or $4. But our interest rates now are very well.
They're pretty
Everybody
decent right
knows
now.
that. I mean, we're getting good interest rates.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Which could stop in November, not being political or anything, but that all could go, how much handbasket in no time.
So okay, on the trust, what you can touch and what you can't? My brain is struggling with that. So,
Okay,
so if you're just saying you can only spend every year the amount that you get in interest and only half of that?
No,
She can give you the figure.
There's, a trust has a principal amount, and when
Gotcha.
we got this trust money, we talked to, Travis Gamble was the mayor at the time, and we talked to the attorney, and they said,
since it was new to us. At the time, Community Bank and Trust had the whole entire amount as principal money. We couldn't spend any of it, $0. When we got it away from them, the lawyer said, make the principal amount what you want it to be. Start right there. So we talked to, Ira was on the council at the time, because Travis was mayor, correct? We talked to the council and to Travis, and we said, we'll start it at 100,000, because that left us with 150 to do the projects that we talked to the council about that we'd like to do for the cemetery.
What
And
was the
then-
project?
I'll show you all, I got that too.
And then what we had left over from the projects, we put that into principal so that it could start generating more interest and stuff. But the projects, the first thing we did is we bought a golf cart.
This is everything that's been accomplished by us since we got it.
And we appreciate you guys. I just want you to know that. We're just trying to work out
I'm trying
how
to
we can do this.
rewind for just a second. When we say that all this was new and changed over, why was it changed over?
Because we couldn't use any of the money at all for anything. Community Bank and Trust would not let the city cemetery use it.
So this,
For fees.
Wasn't making nothing.
It'd make like 3,000 in interest, they charge 3,000 in fees.
wow.
Sounds legit.
So Travis started fighting to get it, and the attorney got into it, and it went to court, and finally got it pulled away from them.
So when it was pulled away from them, it went directly to you guys as a group, not to the city?
As the
As the
trustees.
trustees.
It had to go through court.
It was CBT was trustee.
Yeah.
And you just
So we
got rid of
went through
CBT?
court.
Mhm.
Now, we're the trustees of this trust.
Gotcha, okay. Sorry, just wanted to make sure I was fully clear.
But it's one of those things that when if we spend it all down to nothing, then it's gone. It doesn't recoup itself, other than that
So-
principal amount.
So back to, okay, so I have this right here in front of me. Total interest for 2023 was $4,469, is what I see here. And then deposits were 3,000. So you put how much into the trust each time out of all this? Like, so the total was 8,000. What do you put into the trust out of that 8,000?
None of.
The interest goes into the checking account that we can
That's-
use. We can use the
is
interest.
just The $4,469 is just the interest.
Just interest, right, right. So.
And we have the right to use that.
So you use the interest, and then the rest of it goes, the other 3,700 goes into your trust?
It goes into our general fund, like our checkbook, yeah.
So the
Okay, so-
8,185 is what you actually deposited into your account.
And what you spend throughout that year? That's my question, that's what I'm getting at, that 8,185, is that what you spend?
In the 2023,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you said that was interest in 2023, correct?
That 4,000.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, 4,000?
It's broken out right here, you got
Yeah, I
interest.
don't have that.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, so the CD interest was 3272, the checkings was 1,100 basically. So this is, and then you had deposits, which would be your donations and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So my question is, out of this $8,000 for this year, $8,185, what does it look like from there? Does what amount goes back into your trust?
Well, the deposits, half of that goes to the trust.
So half the deposits go back to your
Correct.
trust. So that would be about,
Sharon, correct?
No,
Six.
the only thing, well, the plots, yeah, if they're plots.
Or donations.
And donations.
Well, that's our deposits,
That's
so,
basically our deposit.
yeah.
so your deposits are what goes back. So then you have, fluid money, you have the 4,469 that you can actually spend, right?
However much interest that there is for that year.
If there's
Mhm.
interest, okay.
See, the year before in 22 was $800.
Mhm.
So it's
So,
based on interest rate.
Based on your
I might be
interest
wrong,
rates. So-
but you said that when you split the trust, it said 100,000 goes back into what the trust is gonna have. You said there was 150,000 that you guys had access to? How much of that is left?
Right now, we have,
I have the $40,000.
we've got a $40,000 CD, and then we've got like 29,000 in the checking account.
We have 60,000 that we have accessibility to. When the interest rates were so high, and we had all that money in a checking account that wasn't drawing anything, so that's why we put the CD into a, into a CD, because we were getting better interest rates.
Oh, yeah, yeah, now's the time to do that.
And we have accessibility to that, so when, I think it was a 7-month CD, wasn't it?
I think so.
So in 7 months, if we needed that for something, then we'd have to, do away with.
And we had one more big project we wanted to do. That's why we haven't moved a bigger chunk back into the principal amount.
So the trust, is it not getting any interest?
Yeah,
How much is it getting?
Well, the CDs is our trust, and that's where we're getting the interest. That's
the
coming
interest
in
is coming from those.
Yeah, so
There's
you've got it
there's no
broken
interest
down.
on the principal,
On the principal.
the 100,000.
Yeah,
They've
that's
got
the
it written
CDs.
CDs.
That's
They're-
the
they're right up
CDs.
here.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
they're in CDs.
So basically, what you're saying is you have approximately, you've got 40 in a CD, you have 29,000 in a checkings, so you approximately have 69,000 that is kind of fluid,
It
that
is
could be
ours,
spent,
that we
but
can
not.
spend.
Right,
Mhm.
right, okay. So what you're saying is the city is falling short on the mowing. What amount are we falling short that the general fund is having to take on?
Well,
Average.
as of 2023, it was $4,400.
So 4,400 is what you're saying. So if your ask is basically if they would be interested in covering the gap. So $4,400, $4,500 a year is basically what they're asking. Are you guys able to assist the city with that other $4,400 to keep it from going into the negatives in the general fund? With that fluid amount that you have, not taking it out of your, even not even taking it out of that CD, I mean, 29,000.
Yeah, but that's assuming status quo. That's assuming we still
assuming the
dedicate
interest.
40 hours every 2 weeks of city
And the
employees
interest
doing
stays
it.
up, that we have money.
Well,
No, it doesn't assume interest, though. The assumption, yeah, that's assuming if the city continues to do it. That's not an interest assumption. You have $29,000 and you have 40,000 that are fluid right now. That's not based on interest or anything that's gonna come in later or, and I get what you're saying. Interest is up now and it may go down. You may not have that kind of income coming in. I do understand that, I do. But if you were to calculate that out, 4,400, even in a 10-year period, that's only $40,000, right?
Yeah, if nothing else, if we don't do anything else.
If you didn't do anything else with that 40,000, but you'd still even have 29,000 liquid, right? That's just a 10-year period. So is that what the city is asking? Is that, am I?
And this could be a year-to-year agreement, even with the board and the cemetery board. I'm struggling with the fact that we're hammering the general fund for maintenance for the cemeteries, and they have funds that they can help with.
So then my next question is, if we were to put that kind of proposal out and ask that, is there an alternative proposal? Is there a point where we say, kind of like we do with East Newton Fire Protection, is there a way where we say we put this much towards it and you guys are able to find the maintenance and all that? Is that an option too to offer with city funds?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Can
so,
you raise the tax? They
That's the
accept.
bottom line, they've never raised the tax. Why?
well, yeah, we have had that
We
discussion.
haven't raised real estate taxes since
That 1/8 has been forever.
And it's been an $8,000 tax forever.
$1 per 100 valuation, and now it's 34 cents.
What did we come up with the or not, when we spoke to them about that, they stated that it has to be on an even or an odd. Did you get that settled?
We would have to put it back on the ballot. The even or odd matter had to do with whether we had taken a voluntary reduction, and we had not.
Voluntary reduction, okay.
We don't capture on the budget, I mean, you don't separate the lawn mowing that the Public Works does for the cemetery as a separate line, right? So we're not capturing that anywhere. So that's not even captured in expenses anywhere. See, that's my whole issue. My whole issue is with the 40 hours of
Guesstimation.
guesstimate of work that city workers are doing, and I mean, you lost an employee over it, or well, that was stated reason that the employee quit was because he has a weed eat the cemetery. I mean, that's here and there, but still, it's 40 man hours every 2 weeks, and that's my biggest issue with it. That resource can be used other places where it needs to be used, and we're not getting anything back from the cemetery as far as I can see on daily operating expenses. You know what I'm saying? You guys are buying project stuff.
And it's a
But I'm
city-owned
not seeing-
cemetery.
Yeah, it's all going towards the city. The new fence, that's for the city. The new office we put in there, that's for the city. The lawnmowers eventually, we're letting the city use them free. That's.
And they're not taking good care of them?
I don't consider it free when we're mowing the cemetery with the mowers bought by the cemetery. Now explain free to me on that.
Well, the cemetery.
We can sell them.
Okay.
Okay, well, guys, one at a time, please.
We don't charge the cemetery rent for taking the city's mowers out there.
So it's an even deal?
No, because we don't use the grasshoppers anymore in the cemetery.
Yeah, that's the only place that can be used.
Because we
bought
No, they're not the city.
So let's, hold on. Let's focus on the task at hand. There is a negative, we go into the negatives, is basically what we're looking at. We're struggling to keep an employee when they have to mow the cemetery. That's an issue, that has been a real issue lately. And
I
so-
wouldn't want to mow it either.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, I mean, what do we think, what do we think about doing, what would you guys think about being in charge of hiring the person that comes out there and mows it and takes care of it? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, was it 2-3 years ago, we actually hired a lawnmower service, it was $21,000 we charged.
Yeah, and the one
But the
from the
service
year
you-
before.
That we paid.
Right, but my understanding of that service was the guy was not prepared to do the job and didn't have the equipment to do it and ended up not doing it. And got paid $21,000. So, I know we paid him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the second
Yeah,
guy, I
it's-
feel like he.
The mowing services are too expensive because nobody wants to mow a cemetery.
Yeah.
And back when Travis was here, and I keep going back to Travis, but
No, you're fine.
it was hired out before him, and he said, you guys can't afford, the city can't afford to hire it out, so the city needs to do it. And then that's when it went back to that.
And
So-
now it's got to the point the city can't afford to do it. I mean, honestly.
It's the cemetery, it's the city's responsibility.
Well, yes, I understand. No, I understand that
It is the
completely.
city's
It's the
responsibility.
city's responsibility.
I,
Yeah, we gotta keep the mowers, the maintenance of the mowers.
But what I was trying to say, you bought mowers and you bought weed eaters. Who did you plan on using them?
Well, we bought a mower, Joe was mowing at the time,
Uh-huh.
and we bought the mower that Joe liked. Well, then, they switched and Jim and the other guys were mowing, and Jim didn't like that mower, so we bought the mower that Jim liked, we traded it.
Okay,
So now we have the two grasshoppers out there.
okay. I'm just trying to come, I'm thinking in my mind, is there somebody we can hire to just use your mowers, use the equipment that you have? Would it be cheaper to where we could do that?
do you guys have any suggestions? for
Yeah,
us?
we're
I
just,
think
that'd be
we're kind
great.
of at a loss, and we're just wondering.
Personally, I think you might.
Please let her speak. Yes, ma'am.
Personally, I think you might could hire somebody just to mow the cemetery. Lay them off in the winter. You wouldn't pay them unemployment for probably 3 years because it takes that long to build it up that they could even draw off the city. And just hire one person. He does it 2 weeks or whenever it needs to be mowed, then he's done. He's still a city employee, but he's only doing the cemetery. That's his responsibility.
And I think we talked about that. What was the dilemma?
The cemetery can't afford that, the cemetery fund cannot afford that. So the boiler mowing, the wells, the parks, the ballpark, all of it, and it's just being enveloped by that. And
But-
this is not an accurate description as far as the expenses the city for payroll.
The way it was done before was, like, when Clyde done it, he used, equipment out there,
Clyde Babb,
Yeah.
is that you?
and then he got paid.
That was the contract guy.
Yeah, no.
Did
No,
they-
Clyde did it like 5 years ago, I think,
Yeah.
but it was contract labor.
I guess,
Yeah, but he used our lawnmower.
Yes.
Right.
And the city paid him $600 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
right? Every 2 weeks, $600. So that's 12 and 1.
these guys can't afford it either. I mean, from what I'm calculating here, that it's not possible for them to
Yeah.
afford it either. And
I mean, it's
if-
just gonna
if-
use our money, Jane.
If you calculate it up, I mean, you're gonna run out after a bit anyways.
Yeah,
on
it'll be
that.
gone.
And so that's why I was saying if you were to throw in a portion that we're missing, it wouldn't necessarily dwindle you down to nothing, but it would take time to pay it out slowly. But I guess what I'm missing here is, and I understand that the general fund takes a beating, I get that. But if you have any kind of business, sometimes one side carries the other. This is not a money-making entity. Our parks don't make money. And sometimes the general fund has to carry that. I don't,
But the cemetery is not part of the governmental fund. Parks, PD, fire department, those are all governmental funds, the cemetery is not.
right, but somebody has to pay for it because we own it. And so, I mean, your point of there hasn't been a tax increase, I mean, that's the way we get our funds for it, right? That's how we make money off of it. Or not make money, that's a horrible way to say that. That is not at all what I'm saying.
Well, the cemetery used to assist though, and then they quit assisting and it started costing the city.
No, we didn't quit assisting. We were told by the lawyer to follow the trust.
Okay, so how much did they assist in the past? That's what I want to understand.
Karen, can you answer that?
In the past, the lot sales and donations just came to City Hall.
So, okay.
But according to the trust, half of that is supposed to go into the principal amount of the trust, and it didn't for years and years and years. But the lawyer told us, you need to put half of that in the trust.
So you could still give the city the other half.
Of the lot sales and the donation. Which doesn't affect, so it could, because your lot sales and donations was like 3,200, right?
Well, like this year, we haven't sold a grave, so that's a big fat zero. And we had like 900 in donations, so there's $450.
You're saying after July, the fiscal year. Is that what you're saying?
Well, in Memorial Weekend is the only donations we get.
Because I'm just reading total interest January 24th to July 24, and then I see deposits below that. See where it says deposits, 3,200?
So for 7 months, we've had about $6,500 come
But real
in.
estate
7 months,
taxes
so
would
we're
cover.
not even getting $900 a month.
Okay.
Last year's real estate taxes would cover this mowing that we just all decided we were
Last
paying.
year's real estate taxes barely covered the liability insurance.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't cover that.
Because mowing is not a whole obligation. It's just.
Yep, well, part of the problem with using your city guys is, I mean, goes back to they're supposed to be doing other jobs. So you need a designated person should be mowing this thing.
Well,
That's where the dilemma is.
for a designated person that just mows it, then like I said, lay them off or let them go or whatever. But they really need to be, and they have to be, not have to be, but they need to be an employee because of the insurance and liabilities. And see, we don't have that.
You can hire them as contract labor.
I was gonna say, they should have their own,
Right.
contract
That's
labor
true.
should have their
That's
own.
true, they don't have
But then
to
you're
be an
going back to
employee.
that 18,
Well,
21,000.
On this that I got today,
Mhm.
What is that, dues, subscriptions, and whatever the other word is that's cut off for $6,300?
And that was the final part of the contract for the mowing company contracted last year.
Oh, okay, okay.
And there's nothing on that for this year at all. Another couple of things that is missing on this one completely is, what was it that I just noticed there? Yeah, of course, the salary you guys mentioned. Seems like there was something else that was.
And we haven't paid the liability insurance yet.
That's it. Liability insurance is sitting at a 0 on that.
Yeah, that hasn't been paid yet for the year that was billed.
How much is the liability for a year? How much?
Is that for the whole city, all the properties?
Cemetery
Just the
only.
cemetery.
Cemetery only?
And so, and using city employees, so now we have to pay workers' comp.
But if you had a contract labor, you wouldn't have to pay
You
them,
would have to do that,
Right, we still have to pay liability.
not the contract, or not the,
Work comp.
yeah.
My concern also about the employees doing it is that, you know, I've had so many comments from, well, this employee doesn't really care about the gravestones. They don't wipe them off, they just blow stuff on, and it's kind of like, that's a specific job that someone who mows cemeteries should be good at and thoughtful of, you know, so.
Well, as you can tell, the last 2 people that's been hired didn't do a good job. I mean, it was pretty worthless.
And that's another thing is I've gotten put in the middle of this quite often. I have the cemetery board saying they're not mowing, and then I have the guy saying, no, we mowed it, and that's been kind of a back and forth too.
All you gotta do is drive out there.
I was told though that they didn't mow for the entire month of July.
They didn't.
Yes, we did.
And that's where we're at, is I drive through here, I drive through town.
July?
Yes.
I guess last start taking pictures.
So. But then I was told one day that somebody didn't mow at all, and I spoke with you on the phone, and you said, yeah, that gentleman was out there mowing, I just finished up a section for him. So it goes back to, we also need it to be consistent and the communication consistent, because if they haven't mowed the entire thing for the month, I should have known that long before we sat down at breakfast in September, or August, I mean. So, I mean, that would be something that should be brought to my knowledge.
So Jim, when your guys are mowing, can you document that on their time card? When they're out there, the hours?
We used to, we're doing like a work study now where they actually like.
Work studies,
they
yeah.
document it.
Yeah, we do.
They say where their guys are.
So time, effort.
Honestly, though, the unfortunate thing about that is when they're out there mowing in the cemetery constantly, and we've done a work study, but we're paying them out of street and water and gas and sewer because the cemetery can't afford to pay them, and we're using public works individuals.
Yeah, it's
It's unfair to the other city obligations.
Can you go back to the property tax thing? And
Yes.
we need to raise that. Seems like that's the,
That seems like it's a key right
Yeah,
there.
it is.
that requirement.
Well, I think too, for the last, I don't know how many years, you guys have only gotten like between $8,000 and $9,000 in property tax. There's been new builds. Why has that not brought in some more money?
Well,
It's been the same.
It has been the same about the last 3 years,
Because of the
hasn't it?
Hancock Amendment, that reduces, because of the Hancock Amendment, the amount that the city gets reduces periodically. And so we're getting new houses, but the valuation drops, because it might have been 50 cents per $100, now it's 34 cents per $100. And it has been consistently dropping since 2008.
you're also seeing a decline in your housing. Like, when you talk about the cycle of your neighborhoods, that's why we're talking about vacancies and dangerous buildings. When these
But the,
are declining, that's declining too.
the 1/8 sales tax, that's what it was when I worked in the city. It's been 20 years probably. And
So it needs to be addressed.
So to me, I think that's where it needs to be addressed. Of
Definitely.
course, I realize that has to be on the ballot, it has to be voted for, which it is difficult, people don't like to vote for increases
We'd
in
like
taxes.
taxes.
But 1/8 of a cent to take care of the cemetery is not very much.
And we checked into raising grave prices, but we're in the ballpark with everybody else. And we already charge $100 extra on digging, so we don't want to
So the city.
raise
gets
more
that.
you guys get an extra 100 on every dig.
They keep 500, right?
We pay them 500 unless it's Saturday
Saturday.
or Monday.
Yeah.
And then,
And then we pay you more for that too.
yes,
Yeah.
we still get our 100, we don't get more, we still get the
So he charges more on the Mondays as well?
Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
To dig it Saturday,
And
Sunday,
if
and
it's
Monday
the day after
before noon.
holidays, it's another.
Yeah, Monday before
I
noon.
didn't know that.
Yeah. He
So
gets
that
extra
explains,
Honestly, I feel like everybody wants the same thing. They want the cemetery to look nice, they want somebody to look consistent. I mean, no, we're gonna have to pay a fair price. But the city can't own the whole. I mean, the auditors noticed that. I noticed it. If your interest income would help cover that, because he has a real taxation.
That's a losing battle in
Yeah,
the long
because even
term.
when I worked for the city, we always took some out of the streetlights come out of the cemetery, you know, for that bill, and then the other bills, we usually had to take it out as gas. Gas was usually the best, but
That is a proprietary fund. You can't just raise money because it's there, that's illegal.
So what about, and I'm just throwing this out as and I don't even know if it works. The real expenditure in manpower though is the weed eating part, right? Jim? So what if it's like a share thing where the city goes down there once every 2 weeks and does the mowing proper? That takes a few of your guys, you know, a day. How long does it take to mow it?
A day, 2 times.
So we mow it and then we contract the weed eating. Because that way it only costs a minimal amount of manpower. It gets done. We don't have to pay an exorbitant amount of money. And then the really manpower intensive part, the weed eating, we try to contract that out. I mean, that's gonna be tough.
like I said, I think.
Nobody wants to weed eat around all them headstones.
And then blow them off. They go back, some go back with the blower and blow them off because we need.
And we could talk about the graves, the half of the grave sales and half of the donations, but like this year, it'd be $450. That's not gonna help a whole lot.
I think I would check in to see about raising the tax.
That
Well,
needs
I
to
mean,
be
that's-
number
that's-
one.
that's-
That
that-
needs to be number
That way,
one.
and then-
But
And that can be on the
I don't know
April
how much it
ballot,
would
right?
need to be.
If we raise the city tax back to $1, then based on that increase alone, you would get 20 cents. So you would see, you would realize the increase.
Well, we wouldn't, but the city would.
No, your rate would go back.
It goes, no.
If it's only 34 cents?
It's in our account. We take in taxes. They don't.
Yeah, we don't do taxes.
They don't do taxes.
We
That's
can't
where
take
we
that
get
money.
that. That's real estate tax. Yeah, it's on us, yeah. We'll see,
So-
we would see an increase.
So you're saying it's 1/8 of 35 cents now?
8 cents per $100 valuation of real estate tax.
$100.
8 cents on $100.
8 cents on a $100 valuation.
That ain't much.
So it would have to be a separate,
No wonder you can't
it
pay
would have to be
it.
a separate tax levy issue.
But we can't get it on the November ballot because it's too short of time.
You have to have it in April.
It would have to be the April ballot.
It could be a special election if we try to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't wanna do that.
No,
That
that's,
costs too
that
much.
costs a lot. Okay, so,
I would say in the spring, when the city has their election, might be a good time, I don't know, but I would think the approach of raising the tax would be the first thing.
I would entertain a motion to get that on that April ballot.
I mean, we should still look at other, I mean, if that fails, and
Yeah,
there's, people see tax, that's all they see.
I know, that's why.
They don't even want to know what it's for, they just see tax and that whatnot.
I like your idea of the city going and does our copy, we
If we can find somebody.
Yeah.
uh, with the sprays hurt, gravestones, because there's acid that goes into them, so you can't spray with Roundup or whatever. There are things that you can mix together and it'll not hurt them. So if we could do that, that would help that one tremendously.
Just spray
So-
around, weed eater, or,
Yeah.
spray weed killer around them.
So is the suggestion that we mow it and they hire a weed eater? Is that what your
Yeah.
suggestion is?
I think if you have a caretaker, somebody that cares, and wants to take care, but that's my thought, there's gotta be somebody in this town who wants some extra money, and they're proud of the town, but I don't know how to find that guy.
I have to admit, the city did an awesome job of mowing weed eating this last night.
Yeah, it looks amazing right now.
Appreciate it.
And I
It
had
really
several
does.
people tell me that at the funeral home, that the cemetery looked very well.
Good.
Yeah, it
You
does
guys
look
did a
awesome.
really good job. Yeah.
I like the idea of a caretaker. To me, that would be a win-win.
Is there no one on your board that
John's
would?
friend came to us last month to our meeting,
Who?
and John's friend,
John's
he was from NEO, and he was their caretaker for their grounds. And he did suggest that we need to have a caretaker out there during the peak season. But we can't sustain that out there ourselves, obviously, with the funding. But that's something maybe you guys can entertain if,
Well-
but that's kind of what she's saying, only hire them during certain, like, peak season and lay them off. They're only out there during that,
That goes back to our,
Yeah.
like, how we do East Newton Fire Protection. They assist us with, buying stuff. They give us money to buy things, and we are able to afford a chief. So if we were to do something like that, if the city was to give you guys that money to hire a caretaker to take care of it and do all of that would be an option, but I don't know that we can go back and forth on that.
Are you gonna get one person to do it for less than $15 an hour? Cause it's gonna take one person 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah.
So now that's.
But-
One guy, but
And that's my concern about a summer help. You're gonna get kids out of school that don't know how to.
See, we even talked about, the courts, how they pay their fines.
Oh, yeah, we've had some people working on stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Community service, yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Lana, you told us at one point, I'm just going back to this thing, yes, I agree with the tax. I agree we should put it on the thing. But in the case that fails and we come into mowing season again, so if Jim's guys mow and we can take whatever the amount is for the real estate tax, we can pay a person, right? Or you can, or do you, we can't, how does that get, how does it work? Do we give it directly to the cemetery committee or?
The city should pay us anything.
No, we can't do tax dollars.
I don't think
Okay,
we
so
can.
the
And I
money,
don't
so
think that
we
person-
hire the guy
You,
or gal or a bunch of people, whoever we get to weed eat it, and then it's paid for out of that.
half of it, let us write a check to the city. I don't think we should accept city funds at all. I think
We
that's.
can't.
No,
It's
I don't,
against
you can't.
ordinance.
She would, yeah, that's what she told us, that money has to be paid to a contractor or an entity other than the cemetery.
So the ordinance says that they can't spend tax money.
Right.
However, what Jamie suggested, that we have a contract with them, similar to what we have with the Eastern Fire Protection District. Our contract is that they pay us $3,500 a month, and that's the contract. I think we could do something like that. I don't think that would violate any of the ordinances.
For our trust, we have to talk about that.
Probably.
I don't know, but step one, we'll get it on the ballot. to address those taxes. So that's one thing that we have solved tonight.
Thank God mowing season's about over.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and one good plus about this is open conversation.
Yes.
You know,
Talk about
I've
it,
actually,
find out
this
what's
is
best.
good. In this, I've never seen this before, this thing that says what you guys have
Accomplished.
purchased over the last few years. I mean, that's enlightening, so,
I also don't think you guys have been thanked enough for your volunteer work that you do out there. That is
Do you know my personal phone number shows up on caller IDs as Granby Memorial Cemetery?
I bet it does. I bet you get lots of phone calls back too on all of it. So I understand that being a volunteer it's very difficult, and I feel like you guys are feeling beat up tonight. And I do apologize if that's how you feel.
Not as bad as the last meeting.
Well,
I was ready to be done.
I
Last
apologize.
meeting.
We don't want to lose our volunteers. You guys are a valuable part of this situation. This is one of the things that I've stated several times. I don't want to damage a relationship between you guys and the city, because I think you guys are just phenomenal at what you do, and we appreciate you. We're just trying to solve a problem that everybody has, which is the budget never stretches far enough, ever. So if you guys just keep working with us on it, and us keep working with you, we'll continue this wonderful relationship and not be beating each other up in any way. I feel like I don't want you to leave here feeling defeated, by no means. So how about we plan on making sure this is on the tax ballot? That's our goal. I would entertain a motion for April, getting that on the tax ballot.
I'll make a motion that we add the tax increase for the cemetery on the April ballot.
are we gonna say how much for, or is that,
I was gonna say, how would you determine how much?
I mean, an additional 1/8 or what?
Do some investigating on how that needs to be figured or something. Is it just based on evaluation?
So let's just make a motion to plan on having it on the tax ballot let's don't put specifics in it at the moment. And then we'll come back, and then maybe we can get it back on our, let's revisit this. Let's give it a little bit, like a couple months, so that people can kind of mull over what's going on and have a good plan.
Okay, I'll second the motion with the caveat that we're gonna have another discussion about how much.
Okay, Doreen has made the motion to put the issue on the ballot. Dustin has seconded that. All in favor of getting that on the ballot? That's 3-0. Now, I would love to entertain another motion to make sure it's back on our calendar.
Back to January?
We can do January if you want.
I'll make a motion that we put this discussion of cemetery expenses on the January 9th council meeting.
Okay, Doreen has made the motion to place it back on the agenda for January 9th.
I'll second.
Bobby has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. Thank you, guys. Okay. New business, bills to pay, balances on hand.
On the Liberty statement, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different charges, and it all says Dick Smith Park. What is all that?
It looks like just a memo was missed for each time they went off the road to Dixon Park. We were struggling, they had a new billing system there, and we were struggling. They were showing bills paid 2 and 3 times, and some not paid at all. And we had big credits in some and past due in others, and so I asked Carrie to just start paying them one check per bill until it got straightened out. And I was like, just double carry the memo over on each one of those.
Okay.
I will double check and make sure that they each were expended appropriately.
I do appreciate you guys doing it with separate checks. When I signed them, it is easier to follow and check up on. I didn't have to calculate it all up every time.
What's the Cornerstone Clinic, ARPA reimbursement? 9,600.
That was the final payment, I believe, to Dr. Shepherd for the clinic.
Anybody heard how that's going?
Not, I've only heard positive things around the community, but I have not spoken to anyone there.
I went and saw the doctor not too long ago, and she said that she's thinking about opening another day, and was asking me what days.
Well, that's
and
good,
times
then
and
that means
stuff.
they're getting busy.
Yeah.
It was
Hey,
easy to get in.
Lana, the credit card statements, the Lowe's statement, none of that was attached. None of that was included in our packet. Was there anything that we should have been aware of?
I'm not off the top of my head, but I will go back and look at that and just confirm. If you like, I can email you copies of those on Monday.
Well, unless there's something that's just jumps out at you, I think we had to pay it, right? I'll make a motion that we accept the bills to pay and balances on hand.
Second.
Doreen has made the motion to accept the bills to pay and balances on hand. Dustin has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. Okay, department head reports.
What's this Region M purchase assets that belong to the city now? The sale of them? The sale of the Region M purchased assets that belong to the city now? Correspond with Patty Oberman?
With regard to some of the assets that we talked about selling, I think that Cliff was wanting to sell the chipper, and I just had a discussion with her about what we probably will sell.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't get the water leaks this month. First,
This?
oh,
Right here?
That's what I'm missing.
It's
You
cool.
guys have it on a chart for us
Windsor House
now.
today.
It's gorgeous.
Ah, no wonder I didn't have to do them.
Take the flowers off,
Huh?
It's the prettiest chart I've ever seen.
Well, usually I have to type them up. Thank you. Are you doing the diamond maps now with them? Is that?
Yeah, that's when he does it. And
That's
like, we had one on the highway day before yesterday that was a lot in one hole, and I had a picture, take pictures of it, map it, so I can give it for Patrick and the engineers to see. To help the farmer, put it in the plan.
Yeah, I don't think I got that one. I'll look at yours. Awesome. So Lance is doing this, or who's? Yeah?
Or whoever's out with them. Yeah.
Huh.
Basically, whichever one, Lance or Mike, whoever's out with the back truck.
Well, I'm so proud of you guys. I've been charting those for the last year, so I'm just excited. That's great, guys. And I do appreciate, Victor, all of the hard work you're doing with the East Newton group. You've made it pretty easy. I talked to Claire, and she was like, "We're on board. We're doing good." So.
Hey,
You saw these two trucks on there for the vehicles for the auction.
Oh no, I
Kind of
didn't.
hidden there, but
hey, Lana, on the repair for the city hall for this back place, how much is that gonna cost?
The repair for City Hall, for what? I told-
To secure the back?
I do not know, Max still is going to give us a bid on the metal places, and I haven't heard back from him.
Okay.
Thank you. I missed that.
Victor, how's everything going out there?
Project-wise, I'd
Yes.
say they're probably 75, maybe 80% completion.
Nice.
And it's a mess. Holes everywhere.
Is there anything on these that we need to be alerted about from any of your department head reports?
Not from us.
So you do have perspectives, Chief Williams? Prospective officers lined up?
I got
Not what I wanted.
applications, but no prospects.
Noted.
Nice.
Well noted. Any other questions, guys?
I have a question. You said Max Steel was gonna come give you a bid on the siding. Do you ask for more than one bid on things like that?
They were going to measure it, I spoke with Tim Griffin, I think they would fall under the amount that would be required to get a bid. If it's more than that, then I would call it. The procurement policy doesn't require that.
The biggest thing we call for is to measure, so we have the right amount for what it is, piecing and patching it in there.
Right.
That's what
Okay.
Not for too much metal, but not have enough.
I'll make a motion, we approve the department head reports as submitted.
Okay, Doreen has made the motion to approve the department head reports as submitted.
I'll second it.
Bobby has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. Okay, city street repairs. Okay, so number one, Bobby and I sat down and talked to his street guy. He talked about how we needed to seal the streets. I was telling Lana about that. She says, hey, I know somebody who does street sealing. Who was it? Colt. And he's like some relative of yours or something? Son-in-law. Okay, so she rode around with her son-in-law. He said, yeah, sealing these streets is a great idea. So we've got one bid from him. I think we've got 2 more we're working on, right? 2 more bids we're working on to talk about sealing the streets. I think, is his...
For the same thing, right? Chip and seal?
Well, crack seal.
Crack.
Just crack sealing, right?
That was one thing that was recommended when we talked with the gentleman when we rode around, was the main thing was sealing off the cracks. Said that's something very important to maintain your roads, to keep them.
So Jim, was that the worst section? Is that the one that they checked out?
No, that was just kind of a
Ballpark?
ballpark, yeah. Because-
Preventive than addressing the bad streets in town.
Yeah.
Preventing further erosion from the streets.
So could you get a list or a map and indicate what we actually want to focus on first?
Yeah, I spoke to
And he's,
Nick
yeah.
long ago. I want, South Main from 60 Highway up to Neosho Street. Because hopefully next year when EPA's done, they're gonna pave Main Street from Neosho Street to the cemetery. And there's a lot of cracks in that asphalt. I'd like to get in before the winter, if it gets the water and stuff in the cracks.
Right, because the school buses hit that road every
that's when
day.
the trees and pop.
Yeah.
So that's my first, is like the 2 or 3 blocks right there.
So that's our number one dilemma at the moment. We're talking about sealing the cracks and saving them. Our next major dilemma is we have crumbling water lines, and our crumbling water lines are leaking within, underneath our roads. So take Neosho Street as a great example. Neosho and right as soon as you turn off of Main, there's it's beautiful asphalt, and then it's got this big chunk cut out of it because we had to fix a water line. That's where we're having the worst time in our roads. So do we go and repave over those before they start our water project? They will be boring most of it underneath, but the problem is if they leak between now and when they start digging for our water project, you're gonna be digging back asphalt up. I talked to Owen, and I'm sure Jim's talked to him a couple of times. Is it Patrick? Yeah, Patrick, he even talked to the state and was trying to get it to where we could actually start ahead of time on some of our water projects and get reimbursed, but he's like, it's not gonna happen. You have to wait until they give you the go-ahead, and then you actually have the contractor bids out with those requests for qualifications and proposals and all of that. Well, the proposals have to be in before you can have any of those projects done. So I just want the council to think about, what is our plan? What we're doing is we're digging a big hole and we're having to just throw rocks back in. I'm at a loss for anything we can do besides that at this moment.
Well, I hear that. I know that we can't just go back and repave right over it, but there's gotta be some time that you need to go back over the ones that have been washed out and just re-gravel again, at least, because, I mean, we all drive these streets and we all know where we have to stop and turn or pivot and go on the wrong side of the road because of those areas. So can we do a plan of checking it, going?
They try to, you know, and I said we've got two that are real, like one at Little Mill Park, right where you turn. So I told Jay, I said, we're gonna check it weekly.
Well, like right by the school, that area by the school, those roads are trash, and we've got buses running on them. We've got a lot of our citizens taking their kids and dropping them off. So those high traffic areas that really need to be addressed.
And that was one of the areas when me and Jamie was talking about repairs, there's two lines in High Street up through there that are gonna be replaced. So, you know.
So,
Patch in the big ones.
It knocks them out, but we've been trying.
So I would like to bring us back to, we actually wrote policies and procedures for our streets department. And according to this, it says weekly. Each Friday, the department head should drive a quadrant. For example, week 1, drive quadrant 1, week 2, drive quadrant 2, and etc. Make note of all potholes in the streets. Inspect whistles that run under the city streets and make notes of the drainage ditches and whistles that need further maintenance. Make note of any brush hanging in the right-of-ways. Note any missing street signs or illegible street signs. Sorry, my stuff is awful small. Note high grass, fences, equipment, or that cause vehicles loss of sight and impairment. That is something that should be done weekly in each quadrant. Are we doing that?
Yeah, we drive it, I mean, it's.
Do we have a list? Has anybody made a list? The bad spots on the road?
They just fix them as they find them.
When are they gonna fix you?
You didn't notice it?
Yeah, I noticed it tonight when I jarred myself half to death coming home.
Are you talking past the bridge towards the high school?
No, but I spent all day yesterday out there on that.
He's talking about the patches you guys just did.
Yeah.
Just kind of thrown in there.
If you get that, you send the deal.
But they're gonna dig that up anyway, right, from the water lines, so.
Yeah.
See that, and that's where our dilemma is I've talked to Jim and I said, Jim, let me know if we need to hire somebody to come in and do this. If we hire somebody, what they're gonna do is they're gonna come in and they're gonna pour concrete. They'll put a retainer there and they'll put concrete in that section to fix it. But if it water leaks again, then they're gonna have to bust that concrete back out. So that's our dilemma right now and my answer would be stop patching it and change out the lines. Well, the problem is we're changing them all to 4-inch lines. And our people say now you're gonna be paying for that all out of pocket. So then you're gonna be changing the line and fixing the road before the bond, or before we get our funding for the water lines.
I don't think that was his intent or on Keyvon anyway. His deal was where they dug up and found those leaks earlier, right, on that left-hand side you're going up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I know, let me finish. That was just all rutted out for a long time because they didn't backfill it, they just threw a little bit of gravel in there. And then they went in there recently and threw some asphalt in there, some cold steel, but just kind of threw it in there. It's still all bumpy and wedged out, so you have to divert to get around there. Otherwise, you're gonna mess up your suspension of the car. I think that's probably what you're mentioning.
And that's.
We're not saying that, we understand, that's why I said, we understand that you're gonna have, that they're gonna come in and redo that. No issue, so why, we're with it, why dig it up? But at least when you semi-patch it, like Lorraine was saying, that gravel sinks down, go and throw some more over it, so that at least the cars can drive over the smooth pattern until it's repaired.
And that's what I'm trying to discuss is the more we put in that, it keeps squishing into the ditch. Am I mistaken?
It's already a ditch.
That there, yeah.
It's already a ditch.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, on that side of the road, drive up Hebron tomorrow and look at it.
I did. I drove up Hebron the other day when somebody was complaining on Facebook. I came back down Hebron and I called him immediately and said, hey, we need to do something about this. Let's take a look at it.
Drive down today?
Yes, sir, I did. He put
Tell me it's
coal
nice
patch
and
mix.
smooth and it's all
No,
good.
I'm not. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you.
So why can't you just throw some more gravel in there?
Because the gravel keeps squishing out into the ditch, and that's what I'm trying to explain is do we need to build something up to hold it from falling into the ditch is what I'm trying to explain. And so my dilemma is if we build that, we need a form, and the form needs to hold it in. Correct? I mean, because if you keep driving and it keeps squishing down.
I put over 6 tons of coal mix in there yesterday. Yeah.
So with it squishing back in the ditch, what would be your suggestion?
I don't have one, I'm good.
You're right, I'm good. Well, that was a chip and seal road to begin with, that's why it just keeps crumbling.
And it's still further down, it's gonna keep crumbling anyway.
That's a problem we have down on Little Milne Park. I live down there, and they just keep bringing gravel down and keep putting it in, but as soon as they do it, then we have another water leak. So then you have another hole that they have to come down and pretty rough.
And Little Mill Park, everybody that turns, just shut the gravel down.
Flips it out. That's another one we called on the other day, isn't it?
It's been like driving down the minefield down Hebron Road, because you got that.
Do we have any safety cones or anything up around those areas?
There it is. That's not that deep, literally. Check it out.
There wasn't on Hebron, no. I purposefully drove my Mustang back down through there today just to see how it was. It's not, like he said, it's not perfectly smooth.
Jim, do
or
we have any
anything.
signs that are marked up there that says caution, rough road? Yeah.
Yeah, you put cones up there, and you just,
They
just,
they've run them over. They've run over.
Yeah.
you can't.
And there's also an issue with people speeding through there,
Oh, yeah,
Chief,
that's-
just so
oh,
you
yeah.
know.
I've almost got rear-ended
Yeah.
at my mailbox.
Well, I know that I talked to Dino, and this is, I did talk to Dino on the telephone yesterday about the roads too. We were talking about the fact that when I drive Hebron, I drive to the high school, I come back and I come around that curve and I go back out to 60. So that's my normal path. Well, until somebody said something about the road being rough, and every time I've driven, I was like, Hebron's kind of rough, but it's not that bad. When I came back, because I wanted to understand what they're talking about, come back down that's when I hit that part, and you couldn't drive over that part at all. I mean, you just couldn't. You had to stop, wait for the traffic and then go around it, which is dangerous. It really is. And so I did drive my Mustang back through it today. I was able to drive over it, but no, it was not smooth. And it's not perfect, and we need to figure something out. That's why I'm asking is, at what point, what can we do with this squishing it into the ditch? So,
Hire somebody with the equipment to come in and do a super patch, even though it's gonna get dug back up. They'll do it right and it'll stay until you dig it.
And that's
And
just
that's-
it.
And it's just gonna cost money.
Well, and we're gonna be digging starting 2025, isn't that what we're in line?
Not
Get
all
started on?
town at the same spot, they're not, you're gonna be digging.
I was gonna say, they stated shovels in the ground in spring, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Really?
Water line on Hebron Road, I don't want a 5-foot roller went over it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like a water park.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's a lake.
That's the other problem.
They'll crush those lines worse.
Right.
Just move the ground, yeah.
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 So I don't have a good answer for fixing that. Yes, sir.
I know when I was working in Joplin, when they do street repairs, and I don't know, I'm not a street guy, but they would lay large, steel plates down. And I don't know if that's an eroding situation where that wouldn't work, but they stay there until they get it fixed, and it's just a bump over it and down. And
Like
I
the
don't know how
EPA
you
did?
get that, I don't know.
Mhm. It's interesting that you mentioned Joplin, because as soon as we had this discussion on Facebook, I had two different guys send me private messages, and one of them his name is Dave Hunt. I don't know if anybody knows him, but he says that he worked for Joplin helping them with their roads and their plans. So I guess he's a planner for it. And I was like, if you do consultations or something, it would be interesting to hear what you have to say. And so he said he could do something like that. And then the other people was Fourth State Property Brothers. They said that they actually have the equipment and the manpower to fix some of the roads if we would like a bid on some of that. So just.
But that goes back to, we're gonna fix a road that we're gonna tear up
Right.
in 6 months.
The water line, them putting the water lines in will not tear it up, but if we have breaks, we tear it up because they're gonna bore and there's money in there to fix the road that they tear up if they tear it up, correct? That's my understanding.
Yes, that's what we asked.
Okay.
Can I make a motion that we table this or postpone this discussion and bring this discussion back up October 10th meeting? And hopefully we'll have the other bids that we have for the chip and, well, the sealing.
Okay, Doreen has made the motion to postpone the city street repairs and put it back on the docket for October 10th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dustin has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0.
You know, you're not ever gonna get enough patching down to have everybody happy. If it was my job, I'd cover a lot of streets, and these guys are filling a lot of holes.
They are filling holes constantly. I know they are. They're digging them out and filling them back. Digging them out, filling them back. Bless their hearts.
Somebody needs to build concrete and you can put a river in.
That one is a hard one, though. I got out, looked at it, and I'm like, it's all just squishing right back into that ditch, and I don't have an answer for it.
And this also comes back to, we have several guys spending a lot of time mowing and weeding when there's
Yeah, they're over
things that
there
need to be done.
mowing and weeding, yeah. Fire Chief Murphy requests a bid on equipment. Fire Chief Murphy.
He had to leave. You should have in your packet, Redding's Mill surplus property that he would like to bid on. He's requested that the board allow him to bid $19,000 for this vehicle. And then there's, discussion being held with Public Works that they would purchase his current vehicle for their departments. To, how much? 50,000 for his,
Current vehicle.
they would purchase from him his current vehicle for 15 or 16,000. So the fire department would be out 3,000 or 4,000 for this vehicle. If his bid was accepted.
Do we need another vehicle in your
We're
department?
wanting to add a service truck, I guess you could call it, for, yeah, with a utility bed, with a welder and stuff that, basically what Michael and Lance are using at lift stations and stuff like that.
This suits both departments.
It would be a universal, where it would be used.
Because his current vehicle's a pickup, right?
Yes.
And he'd be going to a Suburban.
Here's his.
Already set up, put a lever on it, flatbed?
We're gonna put the utility box that we have there on the truck we already have.
I'm looking for it. Do you guys know what his mileage is on his vehicle?
No.
Oh, I gotta find it on his report. There it is. Why would he be going from 96,000 miles on one to 120,000? What's the draw there?
The use and accessibility of this truck, it's gonna serve, what he kinda talked about, wanting to do, it's gonna kinda serve as a rescue truck too, he'll put some of the rescue equipment on that. But,
As opposed to the epoxy trucks, which he would use the epoxy trucks, so he could use this for that instead.
and his truck gets about, if you ever look at his fuel, it's ridiculous.
So I guess I'm confused. Is this the truck that he drives on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
And his truck that he drives on a day-to-day basis has 96,000 miles on it?
Yeah.
Okay. And he spent $204 last month in fuel.
This other truck here will probably be a fourth better.
Is his current one a diesel?
No.
These new fabrication bodies, cut, ain't one of the guys now.
No, it's city. Oh, I like that one. No, the city.
this truck has 30,000 more miles than the other.
So you said something about Sarcoxy?
We currently have a truck that we bought from Sarcoxy 3 years ago. And
Is that one of these that's on the sell in the auction?
Yeah, I think she's probably got it on there.
The brush truck?
Brush
No,
truck, tanker?
Mm-mm.
Is there a Ford?
No,
No.
there's a 73 International tanker and a Chevy 2500 brush truck.
No, neither one of those, right?
Wait, an engine.
So he needs this because he's gonna put rescue equipment in the back and he can't do it with a pickup.
Yeah, it's also, we're trying to figure out a way where we're needing another truck in for our department. And then that's just the way we're,
You're just kind of recycling it over to your department?
yeah. And that truck, he found that truck. And
It is alarming that you're going to something that's got more miles.
30,000.
it's coming from Reading Mill Fire Department.
Do you know what year his current truck is? And is it a 4x4?
Yeah. It's a 13.
His is a 13?
His is a 12.
And is his also a 4x4?
Yeah.
Okay,
Not diesel.
not diesel.
No,
No, this is gas, yeah.
yeah. It was like 3. The mileage on his truck gets set for till, maybe till he started driving his full-time, it's set.
See, this one just has a camper shell on, I mean,
With
camper shell.
work boxes, it's got to pull out the old bed.
So it's already,
Set to
it's already
go.
set up.
Yeah.
Where's my packaging? Not a bad price.
And it might be,
I'm gonna assume it's worth, somebody's done the research and it's worth $19,000.
probably worth 24, 25. But what he's just, they're taking bids on it, so it might not be, I don't know where they're at high bid right now.
Yeah.
He just wants a silliness to bid up to, yeah, bid up to 90.
Okay, so he's gonna start down at 15 where it's, says the minimum bid is then.
Yeah. 19 is all he's wanting to.
I mean, has he actually drove out and checked this thing out?
I think so. He's at Chiefs meeting tonight, that's where he is, that's where the Chiefs are.
Do we actually need this vehicle?
We need,
No, not what, do we actually need it?
for, you mean for him, or?
Just for the city, you know, yes. Do we actually, is this a need, or is this just a want?
The need is in our utility truck, or service truck we're looking to put together.
But he has a truck that you could convert.
Yeah.
Right.
And then this
His
here,
is a 3/4 ton.
this with the cover over the back would give him the option and opportunity to bring extra equipment to an,
And that he can secure.
So how many pickups do we have through your department right now?
3,
You have 3 pickups, not including yours or including yours?
including.
Including yours.
Well,
So we have
we
the two, like the one white truck, the utility bed
the
truck,
utility bed,
and your truck.
And then the other white truck that they use when they're doing the mowing and that's.
And then there's another white truck that goes through your department. Okay,
how many trucks do you have out there, Victor?
just the one. And then you have one out there at Recycle. So there's one at Recycle right now. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we allow Murphy to bid on this equipment up to 19,000.
I have a motion by Doreen for Chief Murphy to go ahead and bid up to $19,000 on this vehicle.
I'll second.
Dustin has seconded that. All those in favor? 2. Those opposed? 1. Okay.
Hey, what is this?
I
It's not on the agenda, but it's in our packet.
I guess it's just to tell us that he's filing for one, and that would be my assumption, but,
He
okay.
wanted to, just let the council know that he had, filled out an application for a grant for the chainsaws and blowers. So it was just an FYI.
Okay, thank you.
Police Chief Williams.
Come on up and talk to us.
I think he has 2 things to visit about.
Mine is a little bad news and a little good news. My bad news is we attempted to skirt around the med unit that was at the nursing home, which in turn, one of my officers struck a post. It's going to cost $4,089 to repair that car. Took off the mirror and caved in the passenger side door. Chip has the car now. Just need to have you guys agree to pay that vehicle. It's one of my patrol cars. I've got to have it.
Is this accurate where it says deductible 0 and that the insurance is paying it?
Our deductible is $5,000.
Okay. So this would be customer pay. Okay. Do we owe anything to the Granby House for damages too, or?
For their pole?
Yeah.
Did no damages to their pole.
Okay, just making sure.
Pretty solid pole.
Pretty solid pole.
Might be weak in one spot, but.
Yeah, just a little.
Hang off of it.
So basically, we need a motion for him to get that car fixed and back.
So I make a motion that we approve Chief Williams' request for vehicle repairs in the amount requested.
Okay, Dustin has made the motion to go ahead and approve those vehicle repairs in the amount of $4,089.12. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bobby has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. Okay.
Good news is, not formally, but the sheriff and I talked, and we put in for the public safety grant. Just kind of roughly running through, I went through uniforms, duty belts and accessories. The vest carriers, we've got the grant on that paid half of it. I applied for this grant to pay for the other half. Also, mag pouches, handcuff pouches, and everything that go on the outer carrier of the vest. Duty weapons, some 9mm duty weapons. It's kind of one of those deals to where back when I first started in '99 here at Granby PD, I bought everything. They give me a car to drive, and that was it. So we're kind of still there, where their duty belts and weapons are purchased by the officers. I'm just trying to get it. It's kind of like asking a secretary to come to work, but you got to bring your computer and your desk with you. So I'm trying to get them outfitted. And uniforms for everybody. That gives everybody 4 shirts, short sleeve, 4 long sleeve, and 4 pairs of pants. Get everything updated and looking uniform. My request overall was $12,735.23. The sheriff said that they approved everything but the backup weapons, which I asked for the single stack model 43 9mm Glocks, which they did not approve, so that dropped it down a little bit. They did approve $10,483.23. So we will be able to get everything except our backup guns, which is fantastic.
Oh,
That's
great.
awesome.
Is this with the grant?
This is the grant, yes. The public safety grant.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
Nice.
Through the county, so that'll
So
be-
that's through the county. So the county's,
Yep, that's the sales tax that county gets. They take, I think like 100,000 of it, and they disperse between all the other emergency services in the county. So they had $150,000 requested, but they only had 100,000, so they kind of trimmed a little bit in some places for everybody. So,
Thank you for doing that.
That's awesome.
We appreciate
yeah,
it.
that was real nice.
Yeah.
I've been working, trying to get 2 cars. I think we're gonna get it down to 1. This is gonna help kind of the plan that I've got going. There's a 2019 Chevy Tahoe that was retired by the Sheriff's Department. It was a detective's car, so it's not something that's been pursued, hard run, anything like that. Most of your detectives are out investigating things and kind of just driving like a human, you know, so some of your marked patrol cars get throttled pretty good. So this is a nice car. It's got, I can remember and even read this, 49,534 miles on it. It's a 2019. We kind of had to jump through some hoops because we were going to get it traded into Don Brown Tulsa, and they were going to sell it back to me. But the big boss decided he was selling all 15 of the cars they traded in to a wholesaler. So I had to go to a wholesaler. So my 23, 23 range jumped up to $26,995 for this car. But we also have to take into consideration that that'll be a good car for us for several years. Because, I mean, on an average, you're talking county putting 25 to 30,000 miles on a car per year. We're not going to do anything close to that.
How much more do we need to do to outfit it?
That was the other negative thing about it. I should be able to transfer most of the emergency equipment over to it from the car we already have.
Okay.
So that should take care of a lot. I might have to do a little bit as far as a radio rack and siren box rack. But
And then will you sell the one that you're pulling all that equipment out of?
yes, yep. We'll put it in the surplus sale as well.
What do you think that might bring, possibly, ballpark?
The one we're selling, whatever you can get, it's not a good one. It's the one I drive every day, so it's 171,000 miles, so it's got some issues.
Okay.
So, and then on top of that, with going through our budget and our projected budget with Lana, a brand new 2025 Tahoe will cost $55,000. We are projected to have, we've got part of that now, right, Lana? We're maybe a little over halfway there, and with our taxes and everything, and hopefully some more grants to come in. Can't really bank on the grants, but we'll apply. And we've got our name attached to the sheriff's office to purchase a brand new car this year. So with our tax money and our sales tax, law enforcement tax here in town, it should take care of all of that new purchase.
So if you purchase the 2025, you'll be passing the 2019 back down to the other officers already retiring one of those cars. Are we going to retire the second car, or what's?
Well, we're going to end up, and if everything works out the way I'd like for it to work out is, and we've talked about that before, is if you live in the county and you're employed here with the police department, you get a take-home car. So I've got to save one car because I've got 3 cars. I'll have to save one for the 4th officer that we hire coming in. So, and the Dodge that normally Corporal Dental drives has got 28,000, 30,000 range. The one that we're having to repair that AJ drives right now is about 70,000. So they're not bad. So then we get this one with say it had on it, 49,000, and then we turn around and we get we get the brand new one, Tahoe, and then we can look at a 2 to 3 year program of trying to cycle a new car in every couple of 2 or 3 years. So we're not trying to make them all brand new right behind each other. I mean, that 2-3 year program would be sufficient.
So what are we looking for a motion to approve?
Purchase?
I would like to purchase the 2019
Right.
Chevrolet Tahoe, and they've got the price of $26,995, and they've got a 5 to 6 day window to deliver it, free delivery.
And so that's the only one we're concerned about tonight, not the Tahoe, right?
The 2025, you're
No,
not
that was
asking
just
for
a-
us to do top.
The 2025
Just
should be our regular budget. And
Okay.
we shouldn't have to,
So I'll make a motion to authorize Chief Williams to purchase the 2019 from the sheriff's office for the amount that he requested from the wholesaler.
Okay, so Dustin's made a motion for Chief Williams to purchase the 2019 Chevy Tahoe in the amount of $26,995. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bobby has seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Make a motion, we go into closed session in accordance with RSMO 610.021, 3 personnel matters.
I second.
Okay, Doreen's made the motion to go into closed session in accordance with RSMO 610.021, personnel matters, 3. Dustin has seconded that. Roll call, please.
Doreen Klaus?
Yes.
Dustin Elder?
Yes.
Bobby White?
Yes. Okay, we're going into closed session at 8:12.
Hey, where you going? Oh, no. No, nobody did. So, but in here in the cemetery stuff. I don't know the cycle. Hey, so they have a road, making bridge as well. It's been a while. And I heard him talking about the cemetery issue and then we lost the guy, so. It needs to be noted, yeah. Hey, what happened to that sign? Old City Hall, the little parking sign?
See me right there.
I'm
out there too.
It was right when you came up.
The old building?
Yeah, it said like.
There's somebody used to pull up to it. It was like, please park here, so I get it.
It was old, I mean,
I'll
like.
tell you what, and if I become a rep, I'll steal it. People over burial remember Steve, like Johnson, Steve, been here, but down there, just, at Main and 60, there's a stop. Globe in it. If you look close, you can just barely see a little bit of top line. It used to be, what, 10 movies? And it said, it did say stop on top.
It's just got the nut out.
You
Yeah,
just
I
see
see that walk by.
that was it, that used to be a stop sign, but it's in the road.
No, it was right on the end of that sidewalk, right next to the city hall
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
It was an old sign, and I'm like, I hope they,
I
put it in
thought
the
it was-
Brandon Museum or moved it here or incorporated.
But yeah, like I said, that's what it usually somebody parked right by that, and parked or something.
Okay. I'll do that. Yeah, I kind of look forward to seeing this game. No, it's 17-7. Tyreek's not so good at this. He's fighting it, man. He knows he got 100 receptions for 10 yards.
Go too, if I can go.
Is he from?
They actually tore it apart.
Max Carter. Probably. Max, maybe Max Carter's place, I call it Stanford.
The first time I had was
Jackie Cameron was Louisiana.
2000.
Well,
She married, Richard Cameron.
yeah, well,
Bulldozed the property.
that's his granddaughter. Dustin's married to. Max Carter's granddaughter. That's who Dustin's married.
So he's an in-law relation.
Probably is, yeah.
But I know with some funeral, there was a guy that taught ROTC, he showed up and did it. I can't remember his wife, Julie has such a wide family. We're always going to funerals, like, now, who is that?
Just go do your thing, pay respects. Go on. We all gotta go there.
Yeah, they called Max Carter, Booker was his name.
Well, I don't know about that.
They all had
nicknames.
nicknames.
I don't remember him having.
That was that, now what, was that, how was he related to Jackson Cameron?
Sister-in-law.
Okay.
See, Richard Cameron.
Jackie's dad was Booker.
No, his sister. Jack, isn't that right? Max, Richard Cameron's wife Jackie was Max Carter's sister.
Okay, then that's not, her dad, they called, Julie Booker, everybody had a nickname, and I had to learn all that.
I remember hearing that in the past, but I don't know who was connected.
It was Jackie's dad. And then the Hobsons, you know, she's like, well, there's Bud, and there's, who's that? Richard Cameron nicknamed him the grasshopper. She was, I don't know, Irish, moving around.
Richard, he was my neighbor, I got to take him to the
Gulf Spring. Yeah, yeah, let's put that in, I guess they sold, Jerry and Pat another lot down, there's still one lot. And left in the estate or paying the taxes on, I'm like, tell your siblings, buy them out, get your cash, and be done. You know?
It's this patch of timber there. Across from us. It's back to these.
And you're living in the house, Catapult.
Brandon is now, he already
Yeah,
signed it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
We built his back way.
Julie lived, he was, I don't know if he was barbering, but they lived like down the road, Main Street down here. And then, he went to Vegas and stuff. She showed me everywhere. I said, for a little town, you guys should move. All right, guys, I'm out of here. We'll have to-
All right, you too.
Good to see everybody.
You too, man.
When are they gonna open that up, the marketplace? Market,
We're still waiting, the next thing's gonna be, get a concrete poured out front.
now, is that gonna be like an opening inside or?
No, they'll be all individual.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, me too.
It's been a long time. You know, not to change subjects, but we've been talking this vacated building stuff, and Ira was the mayor, trying to get it resolved, and I can't believe we're still dealing with it. Jamie was an alderman back then, and that was a big deal, they were getting the fire chief and the inspection. They didn't want to pay a third party to look at the grant.
That just kind of stalled.
Yeah, and now we're coming right back around again.
Well, I think before Steve White passed away, he went to a meeting in Jeff City, and he talked to a lawyer, a judge, and whatnot. He came up with the idea that they could do this. And he sold that idea to Jamie, and when he got back, and then this one had to talk about it and get it hashed out, see what would be the best route to go.
I mean,
What he did is that he won.
I know Neosho, I work in Neosho right there by that Peking Garden on the north side. They've been tearing houses down to the old neighborhoods around there.
City Park.
Well, there's a guy here in town, and I've seen him, he's about late thirties or forties, beard, rides around with shorts on a bike, and he wears no shirt. And I came home one day, and was walking down my road, and Arnold, on Baker Ridge, Arnold still has the house across the street where he was raised, and doesn't want to tear it down. He had a boat back there that you can't see, you gotta go back there to know it's there. And I keep, neighbors would watch each other's property, and he asked me if I know who owned it, and he wanted to buy it. I didn't, he's not interested in selling anything. So I let him know that,
Took a flea barn that, I got away with it in New Jersey, but the Negro and Puerto Rican community killing.
Start building that water tower one of these days.
they better not be looking across the fence of my property. They can't afford my lease. You think there's nothing, those are problems now?
And he was being going out for a second.
They got marked off the corners while they.
They said they can make, they'll contain it, they go ahead and kill it.
So,
You know,
what happened,
not
oh,
over my
well,
property.
this is another, pig, go ahead and.
You run right up to it on that
Yeah, I've got
north
Pete
side.
Arnold's old place, and we have the,
You got away with it at the,
south
this
side.
is Jersey City.
And,
1999.
RL had a chain link,
Shit, all that.
right where he was killed. And they did that one and the other one.
It's right across from Manhattan.
So anyway, well, they were drilling on my property, and I came out there about Ashley Edwards, I'm like, no, he's on my property. They didn't,
So anyway,
serve
that's.
Jim came up with a little police wheel, marked it on.
That's
That's my property. Anyway, the property's not like this, it's like the land, the way they're done up. So, city put up the chain link where our fence is all down. Had calves, when Ellen passed away, he put calves over the brace and then, passed, and they got rid of it. So that's where that's at, but, no. So you got all the room you need to go up, you don't need to go right, go up. Now Arnold owns the other side, and that's where the other Arnold property is. Because they sold that slot to the city to put the well in. There's Tornado Siren, the police tower, and the city well. Radio.
Really?
Yeah.
They got one there.
And it's all three in one area. So, I talked to Jamie, I'm like, I said, I garden there too, and I hope that this isn't gonna block out my access to the sun, because, we have garden.
Yeah, probably big water tower.
250,000 gallons, right? Little area. Maybe Arnold will sell that other side to them when they need to expand south.
Who went on?
Doug, Gary.
I would know, right?
I don't know the name, I mean, Julie knows, right?
See her down to breakfast the other morning, I didn't recognize, hadn't seen her in a while.
Yeah, she does that, she likes that. I still work, so.
This is the old trail that, that's the way it's going. He used to collect, aluminum cans on the highway for years. He's got an house right there, he said it's so rough. They used to take mules and bury them back here from the mine. He was back in 9,000, he said, here, it's a spring. So I've done Gun Spring, Spring. He said there's another spring back here that runs into that. This is Park Street. Yeah. No, this part, this little bit, oh, there we go. Little mark there. See, my, yeah, my house built 68. Oh, okay, yeah. 71. Well, I know one thing. When they did all that cleaning up, this land here, and that got springs flooded, and got to the trail down there. We never had some problems with water until they moved all that land, we had to clean out all the trees. They said, all that didn't cost that. What's stopping the water? Nothing.
Place in north of that, Brian's old man, Sonny died, 1997.
No, when I came through a few years ago,
3 homes there.
I had water up to the bottom of the
Summer
river.
house died. And then over at Edward Gordon died, essentially, he went and sold
So they lost the
3 acres and this crap.
right over across the street. Oh, yeah, tractor. Weeks back, it didn't even come on my property. Went right down the intersection, went across my back. And that's dropped off. Didn't touch my property, so my property didn't get knocked in. Your flood started that. Yeah.
Roxy's dog.
You did, you did. We had 8 applications.
And essentially rather than have, 2 adults and 2 children, small refrigerator. Across the street. What happened was that, Roxy was raised, the girl, and
It's almost 9 o'clock. I'm done with you all.
Yeah.
I second, no.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to come back into open session.
Got a motion on the floor to come back in open session by Doreen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bobby has seconded that. Roll call, please.
Doreen Klaus?
Yes.
Dustin Elder?
Yes.
Bobby White?
Yes.
Okay, going back into open session at 8:51. We had closed session, we discussed personnel matters, no votes were taken. That's it.
Make a motion to dismiss.
You've got a list of where two people.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, that's right. No, okay, so, who we got?
Barry was first, then Martin.
Okay, Barry. No, if you guys can tell me what the list is. You do know the rules, 3-minute talk time, be respectful,
Has to be,
on topic.
Pertaining to the
Yep.
topic, yeah.
I
Hold
didn't
on.
know that roads were gonna be on, or the streets were gonna be on that, but I wanted to ask you, or talk to you about the, road there at my park, Random and King Street. I took pictures today. I think the holes there are 8 inches deep, and there's several of them on that road. What I tried to work with Jim over the years to do something with that. It was set up chip and seal years ago, and now the trash, that big trash truck goes through there, and every time it rains, it splashes out a little more, and the water stays there. I need to get rid of that water, smooth that out, and put some rock in it. It'll last longer. The last time Jim put some rock in it, it only lasted a couple of weeks. So I had an agreement with Tom Putman there next door to make a ditch so where that water would drain out and stand. So what I'm asking is can we smooth that out and make a little channel across my property or just so that water will drain and the road will be usable?
And we had this discussion, that end of King and Random, it is on our assessor's map as that portion is our portion of the road.
That's a whole different deal yet. I still contend that city street, I'm not worried about that yet, right now. I'd just like to get to the end of that, where it's drivable. But it's that, they're doing the same thing you were talking about on Hebron Road, they're going around all, and so it's getting wider and wider. Gotcha. And the water is getting more and more standing there.
So after we had the conversation the other day about it, I did talk to the guys, and I couldn't quite articulate exactly what you were saying as far as, because their idea is to come in and bring more rock, but you don't want them to bring more rock in.
Without making it where the water won't stand. Because there's a big hump there now where all the rock that's been brought in is splashed out.
Okay.
And it can be smoothed out, and then if we can get rid of the water standing there, then we can bring rock in. Be much better off.
Okay.
So there's water standing there right now, even after it's been so long since we...
No, there's no water there now. It's dry right now.
Okay. So, I mean, what are we talking, like a culvert or a
Yeah.
trench, digging a...
Yeah. I took pictures today, like I was saying, so I don't know whether you can see them well enough to figure out what I'm talking about.
This is going to go over the 3 minutes because it's not exactly a comment, it's more like he's showing us so I've paused this FYI.
Yeah, you want me to stop?
Yeah,
Well, show.
I'm sorry?
Do an agenda request, and since this really isn't, it's more like an agenda item as opposed to just a comment.
Is it, you have my number. Send me those pictures. Let me go down and talk to Jim again and go up there with him and fully understand, okay? And see where we can go from there. Is that okay with the council?
Yes.
Because I know I discussed it with him and I was like, but he doesn't want rocks put in. And they're like, well, what? I don't understand. So you want them to come in and smooth it. So let me send those pictures to me and I'll go from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay? Yeah, thank you. Okay, and then Martin was the other one on the list, correct?
Sure.
Let me see if I can reset this. Edit.
Some of what I was going to talk about has been somewhat mooted, seeing as how you're not going to go ahead and rediscuss it till January. So that's what, 4 more months away. Pretty well I won some of the victory today because I didn't have to go to Cleveland, Ohio to face the retrial for Brian Reel's 4 lawsuits, which were overturned at the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and pretty well have a magistrate judge determine the jury, which will probably, he'd do a better job.
Please make sure you keep it to our agenda.
Okay, well, anyway, what happens is that I didn't have to go up to Cleveland this morning. He decided to back off because pretty well I have a ailing vehicle and I have to live on $500 a month. I was listening to what you guys were saying. Essentially, like I said before, you can go ahead, choose, pick your tame municipal judge to do whatever you want. The thing about it is that you'll lose once it becomes in a court of
The municipal
record.
judge is not on our agenda.
Well, I know you can go ahead. I'm just simply pointing out is that you'll eventually lose. I've talked to a number of people and they're pretty well ticked off to where I don't want to buy, essentially, drink sewage and sulfur water from that crappy Granby municipal thing. So I don't really like you're talking about charging me $1,000 a year just to keep my crappy old house as it is. And pretty well I was listening to that, and I tell them is that, hey, chances are I can go ahead and show you how to file a federal lawsuit, and $400 is $100 less than $500. And what happens, you'll tie it up for a year, cost them about $80,000 to $100,000 per lawsuit, and essentially they're going to go ahead and give it up sooner or later, even before they end up losing. essentially, I don't have a dangerous building. Why, you had a complaint about how it was dangerous for crackheads. By the way, on the Tuesday after the Memorial Day weekend, I was driving down Rap Track Road to get my mail, and I seen a bunch of boxes sitting by the side of the road. So I said, oh crap, another crackhead incursion. And sure enough, they had torn off the house, and what they'd done is that they essentially have a crackhead who was walking, and what he does, he breaks in, and then he stacks the stuff that he wants to steal by the side of the road, for a Confederate to go ahead and come by in a car. Essentially, they're not dangerous buildings. Crackheads don't think of them more as sanctuary. They're not particularly dangerous buildings. But more to the point is that I'll admit they're eyesores. What happens is I go ahead and I look at my webpage from the 90s and 2000s.
Thank you for your input.
And pretty well,
Have
you
a good
people are
evening,
doing
Martin.
the same thing that they were doing back then.
Make a motion to dismiss.
Doreen has made the motion to dismiss.
Second.
Dustin has eagerly seconded that. All those in favor? 3-0. We are dismissing at 8:59.